there's a set of principles around the more cultural things, like innovation is more important than predictability. That's a principle. That learning is more important than failure. The principles are more important than process. Some examples of that. In terms of teams, empowered with problems to solve. That's one of your foundational principles. We talked about that. This idea of real ownership, real sense of ownership, so that it's theirs. Well, of course, in discovery, you'd recognize all the principles, but it's about addressing product risks. It's about embracing quick experimentation. It's about testing ideas responsibly. These are principles. And then I did mention a couple of the delivery principles, things like small, frequent, uncoupled releases. For most companies, that's CI/CD, instrumentation of everything, monitoring of everything. These are deployment principles or delivery principles. So none of these should surprise you because they are what's consistent in the good companies that we know. But these are the things that we think matter.
That's awesome. And I imagine people listening to this, if they're in that 10% or 20% of companies that you describe as doing this well, are just like, of course. And then the rest are just like, no, there's no way we're going to be able to do that.
You have to realize in most of the rest of the world, they release monthly or mostly quarterly. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Quarterly releases.
Yeah.
Think about it. You cannot take care of your customers. You cannot learn at the pace you need to. And by the way, quality is going to be terrible in that model.
I don't want to go on this tangent necessarily, but I know in some cases, like a quarterly release, like Shopify is an example. They have like seasonal releases, like the winter launch and the summer launch.
Yeah, and Salesforce.com has a big, but they don't confuse the actual releasing by the teams with the marketing releases. So it's very normal and I think wise to batch, because look, most product teams are releasing on the order of 20 times per day. You're going to do a marketing release 20 times a day? That would be like useless. So it makes sense to have messaging on a periodic basis. But good companies, by the time they message it, it's live. It's been coming out. We may have released some things dark, as you know, but we've got it in production solid. We've proven each thing probably with an A/B test.
Yeah. Airbnb is actually in that same model. Most of the stuff they announce every couple times a year is already out or in experiment to most people. One thing I wanted to clarify. So you call this the product operating model. There's also this role product ops, which you touched on a little bit. Any thoughts on product ops? We've had a few guests here talk about it.
It's tricky. I mean, first of all, product ops, some people have asked me, is product ops the same as product operating model? No, that was just a very unfortunate name conflict. But product ops is more analogous to DevOps and design ops. That's all.
Yeah.
Now, can you use product ops in the product operating model? Absolutely. If you're using one of the definitions that are part of the model. So for example, the heart of product ops in the good companies I know is user research and data analysts. And the only difference is they're now brought together under one product ops leader. That's all. So that is the same, how long has that been with us, Lenny? More than 20 years. Team companies have had user research teams and have had data analyst teams to help you make decisions qualitatively and help you make teams quantitatively. So that's not new at all, but it is good. And I think there is some amount of value about bringing that in. Some companies, of course, they interpret and define product ops very differently. A lot of them, unfortunately, think of it, they focus on the whole phrase of process and governance. That's like a huge red flag. And I try to tell people, if that's what you see, run, don't walk away from that. The other thing that's going on in a lot of companies, it is amazing to me how creative companies can be to try to find a way to justify giving product managers assistance. Because, the product manager says, too much work, which is really ironic to me because they're usually feature teams that are saying this. And I'm like, it's not even enough for your job. But anyway, they're like, too much work. And so they're like, well, we need help. And so for a while, they would all have these little associate product managers. And then a lot of companies, they have, we also have product owners. Product manager and product owner makes no sense. Huge anti-pattern. Today, a lot of companies use the same excuse, but its product manager has product ops people to do the dirty work. No. And honestly, I would not want to be one of those people because I think they're very vulnerable right now.
I've changed my mind on product ops. One reason is because I also was like, I don't need another person in the loop on everything I'm doing. I just want to have, I don't know why I would do that, even though I have endless work and I'm working crazy hours. But I think one of the great things about product ops people that I talk to is there's not many of them. They're like, you need one often to do a ton and to help a lot of different teams. So it's not like a team that just grows like crazy.
That's
just
what I like. Same with user research, by the way. And you had a very good guest on that I think tried to make that point as well. A small, high leverage group. So it works for data analysts. It works for user research where they are helping the teams do the work they need to do. But that's where it really depends what they're doing. I will tell you, I've seen too many companies where the product leaders are not doing their job. So what they do is they hire product ops to try to do their job. They're the ones now responsible for educating the product managers. That's just not good.